brace yourself. In the next few minutes, you'll see how a single speech detonated a diplomatic crisis, why Downing Street scrambled into emergency mode, who gained and who lost, and exactly what it could mean for Britain's economy and political future. This isn't just a row between leaders. It's a live demonstration of how modern power works and how quickly reputations, markets, and alliances can unravel on camera. IT started like a TV moment designed to haunt a career. A president stepped to a podium and didn't just criticize, he humiliated. He looked straight at the world and framed Britain's prime minister as weak, disloyal, and politically bankrupt. The line landed like a thunderclap. Cameras flashed, social feeds exploded, and within minutes the episode had been clipped, memed, and weaponized. It felt less like diplomacy and more like a public execution of trust, an unmistakable signal that the era of quiet statesmanship had been replaced by performance politics where loyalty, not tradition, is the new currency. Inside number 10, the reaction was instant and chaotic. Advisors abandoned talking points and sprinted down corridors, phones glued to ears. Emergency meetings convened in smoke-filled rooms of strategy and panic. Should they reply? Apologize? Ignore it and hope the outrage fades? Every option was a trap. Answer too forcefully and risk escalation into trade retaliation. Say nothing and concede the narrative of weakness. For a government used to careful, measured responses, the clock was cruelly short and the stakes enormous. What made this moment especially brutal was its theatrical precision. This didn't read like an off-the-cuff insult. It hit like a prepared script. Choice phrases, deliberate pauses, camera angles selected for maximum humiliation. The performance turned private grievances into public policy threats. Naming names and accusing specific ministers didn't just shame individuals. It raised real questions about intelligence sharing, defense collaboration, and commercial ties. An accusation against personnel can fast become a pretext for frozen projects, delayed contracts, or downgraded cooperation. Suddenly, what began as a rhetorical attack felt dangerously close to strategic leverage. Social media did the rest. Opponents of the Prime Minister pounced, broadcasts ran the clip on loop, and pundits lit up with hot takes. Some hailed the speech as a masterclass in strength. Others condemned it as reckless brinkmanship. The public's mood polarized fast. Where one group cheered a show of dominance, another saw a deliberate assault on a nation's dignity. Political rivals smelled opportunity. Voices once on the fringes were catapulted into mainstream view simply because they echoed the new, aggressive tone. In a matter of hours, political maps can redraw themselves, and voters fed on humiliation can pivot their loyalties overnight. Markets, which are notoriously unsentimental, moved quicker than ministers. Sterling wobbled, traders nervously priced in the possibility of tariffs or freezes on trade, and murmurs of contingency plans rippled through financial institutions. When diplomacy becomes a currency of fear, the economy pays first. Companies paused deals, defense contracts flickered, and officials in treasury rooms began drafting emergency measures to steady a currency and calm jittery investors. The practical cost of a podium speech was suddenly counting in billions, not in rhetoric but in lost orders, frozen procurement, and delayed investment. Backstage, the strategic calculus was brutal. A public rebuttal could escalate into economic punishment. An apology would bleed political capital at home. Silence would be read as impotence. The only plausible path required a hybrid approach: quiet, urgent diplomacy to restore operational ties, carefully staged public messaging to shore up domestic confidence, and contingency financial measures to keep markets steady while negotiations unfolded. Success would depend on speed, secrecy, and coalition building, rare commodities when every leak becomes a headline. Politically, the turmoil gifted opportunists a chance to reposition. Figures aligning with the speech's combative tone found themselves elevated, framed as restorers of national pride. That rapid repositioning can have long-term effects, not just a few percentage points in a poll, but a sustained defection of voters who feel national humiliation requires decisive correction. Mainstream parties risk losing voters to those willing to promise immediate respect from abroad, even if the cure carries heavy economic costs. Internationally, Other capitals watched and adjusted. Allies offered cautious words in public while quietly recalibrating their own ties to avoid becoming the next target. The spectacle sent a chilling note. Long-standing alliances and shared histories can be tested publicly, theatrically, and diplomacy's soft infrastructure may be less reliable than previously thought. When power becomes performative, smaller states and middle powers must weigh whether to speak up or stay silent, a calculation that reshapes regional alignments. On the ground in Britain, the political temperature spiked. Cabinet rooms split between those urging firmness and those pleading for caution. Some urged immediate, clarifying diplomacy to protect vital functions. Others pressed for a forceful public rebuttal to defend national honor. Rumors of resignations, reshuffles, and emergency contingency planning circulated. In private, officials fretted about defense projects, intelligence collaboration, and the jobs tied to lucrative contracts, real-world consequences for a moment that had begun as a soundbite. The aftermath also revealed the new mechanics of influence. Endorsements and amplifications from sympathetic foreign voices turned into instant political capital at home. Clips reshared across platforms, influencers and commentators acting as echo chambers, and the president's own channels magnifying the message. The whole structure created a feedback loop that rewarded aggression with visibility. In this environment, the leader who can control the narrative gains leverage far beyond formal diplomacy. So where does Britain go from here? The path forward is treacherous. It can seek quiet restoration of operational ties behind closed doors while managing the optics at home. It can confront and risk escalation, or it can attempt to reframe the argument domestically to neutralize the political hit. Each route has penalties: economic, political, or reputational. The one surefire outcome is that the decisions made in the immediate hours and days will echo for months, perhaps years, in trade figures, defense projects, and electoral fortunes. This incident is a case study in modern geopolitics. Power is not just held in treaties and missile silos anymore. It's performed in real time for global audiences. A single speech, crafted for maximum impact, can destabilize governments, rattle markets, and remap political opportunities. For the Prime Minister, the question that remains is whether he can convert emergency response into a durable plan that protects Britain's interests without surrendering sovereignty to spectacle. If you want, I can adapt this into a punchy video script with scene-by-scene beats, intro hook, 3 evidence-driven segments, emotional pivot, call to action, plus recommended B-roll and on-screen captions to supercharge engagement. Want that next? I'll write it tight and dramatic, ready to record.